how we all put the letters together and send them off. Beth,
Okay.
further questions?
Just the copies of the documents that I referred to and the contact information for Department of Ecology. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for being a little late. I was out checking roads out of Langford. Constituents that I was meeting with were driving, so it was a little rude to say turn around.
So we, because of not being here yet, we moved the naming rights down. Michelle did it, all three of us on this discussion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
With that, Tom? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, as you know, we have an RFP that was submitted late last year. And from the response, a proposal was provided, and that proposal is before the board today, and I'm asking that action be taken. It's a 10-year, $1 million naming right proposal from Hapo Credit Union, which essentially would, well, it's allowing the track center to market the building and generate revenue off the building itself rather than just rely on the 52 weekends in the year. The signage will be paid separately by Hapo separately, different pot of money than the $1 million naming rights fund. Any questions? I'm happy to try to answer.
Over the contract 2 or 3 different times, we visited about it, and I think we've been headed it to a point where it's usable for both parties. Commissioners,
Well, I have a couple questions. I have been hearing from constituents, mainly from North Franklin County, that they would like to retain the word track on the building, possibly called Hapo Track, Hapo Credit Union Track, something to that effect. It's a mainstay. It's what built up the area, created the robust growth in that area. Honestly, it's almost like going to the fair. The teachers and the FFAers are really that interested or motivated to be there anymore because it is hard to get to and get away from. But we have a lot of people that want to retain that name. And I just want to know, is there any movement with Hapo to retain the track name on there with their name?
And I in no way want to speak for Hapo's representatives on that matter, but from my understanding, no, it's not. It would be the Hapo Center.
And then the other question I have was, at the end of the 10 years, if we were to take this agreement, is there a right of first refusal? What is the continuation of this, and who would be responsible if they walked away from putting track back up there?
If there is no right of refusal, so when the 10-year ends, there's nothing in the contract that says they would continue, have first right of refusal to continue on. The termination clause does speak to if the agreement was terminated early, but it is not, once the length of this contract runs, the contract does not speak to anything about first right of refusal for an enterprise. They would be responsible for removing all of their signage
For removing all their signage?
at their cost.
Commissioner?
Questions?
Good.
Tom, if memory serves, there's in the termination clause, there's a 1-year notice requirement, and there's a straight line amortization on the cost of the signage. And if we were to leave early, the county would incur a liability based on that straight line amortization appreciation, and it would be liable for that cost. I thought I heard you just say that HAPO's cost. Can you clarify that?
No, when the contract runs at the end of the 10
At the
years.
end of the 10 years, if we were to be, say, at the midpoint of the 5-year point, straight line over 10 years, that would be 50% depreciation. So we would be responsible for 50% of the cost of changing back the signage.
That is my understanding.
You're cutting in and out.
Well, that's the nicest thing anybody said to me all day. All right, so just to recap that quickly, we just confirmed that the contract is for 10 years, and if the county were to leave early, there's a straight line depreciation on the cost of the signage change. If we cut this off at the 5-year point, we have to give them 1-year notice of our intent to leave, and at the 5-year point, be half amortized, and half the cost of redoing the signage and putting it back where it originally was. If we left at the 8-year point, 80% depreciated, and 20% of the cost. So it's pretty straightforward. Tom, you and I had a conversation some time back about advertising, in particular that HAPO would be placing advertising inside the facility. There's a question about whether or not the track incurred any liability or any cost, especially cost, for maintaining that signage or preparing any of the advertising materials. At the time you told me that that was all on HAPO. Is that still correct?
That is,
And Keith, you and I had a conversation about potential conflicts of interest with other advertisers. Get that a little better. That potential conflict being there's an event at the track, and trying to think of a good example. Let's use a bridal show, let's say, something completely unrelated to the credit union business. And the show is going to be sponsored by the competing credit union. That indirectly provides advertising. Does the exclusive advertising opportunity for HAPO make that untenable? Is that still permissible? And is there anything in the contract, the last piece being the most important, that makes that clear? Because I can see reasonable people thinking that there's an exclusivity there for HAPO that would not allow somebody to advertise publicly that they are the sponsor of a big show.
it would not exclude that from happening. The way the contract is written is HAPO has the first right of refusal to be the main title sponsor of any event that's a track center promotes. At this time, there's only one event that is self-promoted, and that's the indoor drag sale. It specifically calls out that an individual promoter has the right to secure their own sponsorship. So that could be a credit union, a bank, mortgage company, any competitor. Their ask in the contract was that we would not promote an event without giving the first right of refusal to the sponsorship.
So if I take those two together, and if I understand your statement, what you're saying is that if the indoor garage sale wants to expand, whatever, and they're looking for a sponsor, they have to go to HAPO first before they go to any other business, any other credit union?
I would, just because that is a track promoted event. I would go to them and say, we're looking for a sponsor for this event. They would have first shot at it. That's the only event that the track promotes is self-promoted.
Okay, I want to be sure we're talking the same language. Let's say that I decide that I want to have a show there for an antique show, let's say, and I'm the promoter. It's not a track promoted show, it's my show that I'm promoting. Does HAPO have first right of refusal on that? Could I go to a credit union, competing credit union, have them sponsor it? And HAPO is aware of this and they're okay with it?
Yes, they reviewed this contract, they're aware of this contract. That was specifically discussed with them about the individual promoter's right to secure sponsorships.
Tom, can you tap that or come closer to it? Tap it.
This was specifically discussed, and it is addressed in the contract, that the individual promoter maintains the right to secure sponsorship, whether it be a competing credit union,
And HAPO does or does not have first right of refusal on that.
they do not only on track motor events.
I'm not convinced the contract really says that. Are you?
It says in section G, 3.16G, HAPO shall have first right of refusal for main sponsorship opportunities for entertainment and other events put on by track. The section would not apply to events put on by independent promoters, as they maintain the ability to secure sponsors for their events.
Okay, good enough. And Keith and I talked about that. That didn't come up, so that would address that concern. Let's see. I seem to recall you telling me that HAPO had expressed to you that the name would be HAPO only at any combination involving track, keeping track would be a showstopper, not proceed. Do I remember that
That
correctly?
is my understanding.
Okay.
That was addressed very early on after I first received the proposal.
Right.
It has not been addressed since.
Have you received any feedback or questions or concerns from any constituents?
I have not, only this question, thank you.
I got one from Mr. Engelke, North County resident, expressing that they did not want, he and unnamed others, not wanting to have track. But you've not heard.
Me personally, I have not, I've spoken to Commissioner Didier,